Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. So my name is Emily Young, and I am the recruiter for the College of Education and Human Development at UT San Antonio. And I'm going to let my colleague introduce herself as well. You've got two of us here tonight.
I'm Dr. Karina Villa. I work with the Academy for Teacher Excellence Research Center, and I'm an education specialist.
All right, thank you. So thank you for joining us tonight to learn more about the culturally efficacious signature teacher residency. Um, just as a highlight, an overview of what we'll be talking about tonight is we'll be first giving an overview of what CESTR is. Then we'll look at the program requirements for the program, the benefits, because there's some really great benefits, and then also what the application process is. Karina and I are going to be here to support all of you through this whole process. What we are going to do is we want to be able to answer your questions. So I'll give like pauses between different sections to address questions, but please feel free to put your questions in the chat. So then that way we can make sure we get all the questions addressed. We are a small group, so that will allow us to be able um, to hopefully be able to answer everyone's questions. So you can also unmute yourselves when we take those breaks, but Karina will also be monitoring the chat and helping, like if there's questions that she can answer quickly, she'll be helping with that. So we'll go ahead and get started and give a little bit of information about CESTR. So CESTR is a grant that we received through the U.S. Department of Education. We are in our second year of the grant. And the purpose of the grant is to create a pathway for paraprofessionals and teaching assistants to earn their bachelor's degree in equity in education and also an enhanced standard teacher certificate in bilingual education, within our Rowdy residency program. So basically what we're trying to do is help you to complete your requirements towards your bachelor's degree so you can also get that certificate, that bilingual teacher certification. And at UT San Antonio, the certificate that you would be earning is an enhanced standard certificate because we actually just got approved by the state to be able to offer this enhanced standard certificate. So with that, the rigor for the certificate is a little bit more, but also like the prestige with the certificate is a little bit more. And so CESTR provides that pathway to support you in that process while allowing you also to still maintain your jobs. Because we understand that sometimes like you need to be able to support yourself, and sometimes that can become difficult while also completing a degree. So this program has been designed specifically for paraprofessional and teacher aides so that they can complete that education and that professional goal. So with the program itself, there are different requirements that you would be completing. So you would be working towards completing the degree requirements, those requirements in order to earn the enhanced certificate. But then also in conjunction with that, because this is grant funded, there are also activities and requirements that are specific for CESTR. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look at what all of those requirements are. So in order to complete the degree, you will be taking undergraduate coursework. And then also in conjunction with that, there will be job embedded field experiences and clinical teaching. So those are all required for the degree. Those are also required for the certificate. So that coursework and that field experience and the clinical teaching is all required for both the degree and and the certificate. The passage of the Texas exams, that's only required for the certificate. So you can graduate without having passed the Texas exams, but we can't give you the certificate until you've passed the Texas exams. Now, I've purposely sandwiched this between the coursework and the field experience because you will be preparing for and taking those Texas exams in conjunction with your coursework and your field experience in clinical teaching. We've built that into the requirements. So then that way it's not an additional thing, it's happening in conjunction with. So these first three, these are for the degree and the certificate. And then as I said, for the program, because we are a grant funded program, there are some requirements that will be specific to the CESTR program. And those professional learning activities, they are designed to support what you're doing to prepare for the degree and the certificate. So it's just there to supplement what you're already learning to help prepare you on a higher level. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at these requirements in a little bit more detail. So first we're going to look at the coursework because that is a big chunk of what you will be doing. So with CESTR, so like I said, what we wanted is we wanted a program that would allow you to still work while also completing your degree requirements. So for CESTR, your courses were actually going to be offered on an alternate schedule. So what that means is your courses will take place in the evenings and on Saturdays. So then that way you can work during the day and then complete your coursework when you're not working. And even then, we've altered it a little bit more. So for example, the spring semester, there will be 5 courses that you'll have to enroll in. Now this course right here, 3110, do you see it has an asterisk? That will be a course that you're enrolled in, but you're not going to, you don't have to physically attend that class. That class is just, it's a lab that coincides with your field experience. So you're not attending that one. So there's only 4 courses that you will physically be attending during the spring semester. And the way it will work is we've divided the semester into 2 8-week periods. So during the first 8-week period, you would take 1 course on an evening, and I think it's Tuesday evening, if I'm remembering correctly. But you would take 1 course on a, we'll say a Tuesday evening, and then the other course would be Saturday. So you would take those 2 courses for the first 8 weeks. And then the second 8 weeks, you would take the other 2 courses. So then that way you're still getting 4 courses, but you're only doing them in 8-week chunks. And we've structured both the spring and your fall semesters that same way. So then that way all of your courses are taking place at times when you're not employed or not working. The only exception where we don't have an alternate schedule is during the summer. And the reason being is during the summer, the courses are already a condensed nature due to the fact that the summer terms are shortened time periods. And so with those courses, it's difficult to offer them only weekends and evenings. And so those courses would be held during the day during a regular summer schedule. But the one reason why we feel a little bit more comfortable with that is typically you're not going to be at your campuses during the summer. So these 4 classes that you'd be taking in the summer, those will be the only exception um, to that alternate schedule. But your spring and your falls, all 4 of those semesters, those would all fall within that alternate schedule. Now, I've given you, so that's the information for the courses. Let me just check the chat and see if anyone has any questions regarding the structure for the coursework. And you can either unmute yourself or you could put the message in the chat. And feel free to ask if you have a question. Okay, if you do think of another question later and that relates to the coursework, please feel free to put it in the chat, and we can answer it there as well. So then let's look at the field experience and the clinical teaching and the Texas requirements. So the field experience, this is a requirement of the state. So the state requires that any teacher candidate receives a certain number of field experience hours. And so what we've done is for CESTR, your field experience requirement will take place in conjunction with your job. So you won't have to be doing a field experience at another campus or at another district even. You would be able to just do that field experience in conjunction with your job. And so and the field experiences, they also take place in conjunction with your courses. So if you remember this course right here with the asterisks, and you can see we've got the asterisk courses in both of these semesters, that's the lab for the field experience. And so you would be attending the courses, and then you would also be completing the field experience requirements with your job. So that would take place during your first year in the program. So if you started in the spring semester, that would take place in spring. So this coming spring, let me go back to this side. So that would be taking place in spring 2026 and then fall of 2026. That's what we call preclinical. So that would be the first year. And then your last 2 semesters would be your clinical teaching. And again, what we would do is this clinical teaching would take place in conjunction with your job. So then that way we're not disrupting your employment. And so the only difference is that with the clinical teaching, there will be tasks that you are going to have to complete. So they might be like your responsibilities within your job might change because you will have to be completing the clinical teaching requirements. But the idea is that you'd be able to continue working in that position with the teacher that you're working with. So that would be taking place for 2 semesters. And you would also still be taking coursework. So let me go back to this slide again. So you can see you would be taking 4 courses each semester. And again, these would be offered on that alternate schedule. So there would be two, and you take one in the evening, one on Saturday for 8 weeks, and then again the second 8 weeks. Let me get back. Okay. So, and then as I said, so the Texas exams, these are going to be taking place during both your field experience and your clinical teaching. So what we've done with the teacher preparation program here at UT San Antonio is we have built in a sequence for our teacher candidates to, or timeline for our students to complete their Texas exams. So since you'll be seeking certification in bilingual certification, you're going to have to take the core subjects test. So that's your content test, and that's the one that covers math, science, reading, social studies, art, music, like a little anything you'd have to teach as an elementary school teacher, that's on this exam. So that's your content exam. Then you'd have to take the science of teaching reading, and then you'll have to take the bilingual supplemental and the BTLPT. The good news is there actually is a fifth exam, the PPR, because you'll be part of our enhanced residency program and that seeking that enhanced certificate, that exam is waived for you. So you won't have that exam. In addition, the state is in the process of changing the exam requirements. By the time you get to this point, it's possible that the bilingual supplemental and the BTLPT will be combined into one exam. So there is a possibility that would be one fewer exam. Another piece of good news is that the state actually passed a law this summer, I believe, that will reimburse the bilingual supplemental and the BTLPT exams. So you wouldn't have to pay for those exams. And so these exams, so like I said, taking these exams, all of these exams is built within your sequence. So like, for example, your first semester, we would have you take a practice exam for the core subjects test. And then once you've taken the practice test, then we'd have you take the real test. And so we build in these benchmarks to help make sure that you can complete your exams by the time you graduate. So again, these first two are required for the degree and the certificate. This one is for the certificate. And then the professional learning activities, this is what's required for the program. And so these have been designed to support what you are learning in your classes and to help prepare you to be an effective teacher. And so the professional learning experiences that you'll have is each semester we have what we call a success series, where it's a series of like workshops, modules, and we have a whole menu that you can choose from, and you would have to attend 3 of these during the semester. In addition, we also have a career transition guide on staff. And what career transition guidance is so our CTG is what we call her. She is a counselor, and what you can do is like she can just talk through like what you have happening in your life and help you problem solve. And so we do require our teacher candidates to meet with our CTG 3 times a semester. And then we also have professional development institutes. So just when you get your certificate, you're going to have to earn CPE hours in order to be able to renew your certificate. These professional development institutes that we host, these are the types of events that you would be attending to get your CPE. So you would be getting your CPE credits. And Karina is an education specialist in ATE. She is actually the person who's going to be guiding you through the whole process. So she will be the person who's planning the professional learning experiences, helping you make sure you get your exams done, and she'll be like guiding you through this whole experience, which is one reason I'm so excited to have Karina on this call. Karina, do you want to add anything about the professional learning experiences? I'm putting her on the spot, by the way.
Uh, just to not feel overwhelmed by the requirements that they're going to be engaging and um, are going to add to their teacher toolbox as things that they can use in the classroom. So it looks like a lot. Bear with us. It's manageable, and it's all here to support you.
Mhm. All right, we've given a lot of information. Before we go into the benefits, are there any questions regarding the requirements? Okay, if you do have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. We're here to answer your questions. So let's go into the benefits because these are some great benefits. So one of the benefits is we have textbook lending. So instead of you having to go out and buy all of your textbooks, we will actually, the grant allows for us to be able to buy the textbooks and you would check them out from us. So you will not have to buy any of your textbooks. We will be purchasing them and they're just loaned to you. So you do have to return them to us. But that is one of the benefits is the textbook lending. And this is a big one, the CESTR stipend. So the grant provides $20,000 in tuition support. And the way that we would be paying out that tuition support is your fall and your spring semesters, we would put $5,000 towards those semesters. So that $5,000 would go towards the tuition. And we don't do that during the summer because we were like, how do we break this up? And what the way it worked out was doing it during the fall, the spring for the 20,000 towards the fall and the spring semesters. And that goes towards the tuition. So that's a great one. That's $20,000 towards tuition for your last four semesters, last 60 hours of your degree. You will also have a trained host teacher. So when you're doing your clinical teaching, your host teacher, who's the teacher you'll be working with, they will actually be trained, be provided a little bit more training on mentoring and support. So your host teacher would have additional training. We'll also provide some job search support. And then also like even after you graduate and you have that certificate and you're in your classroom, you still have support from us. We will continue to provide you retention and induction support. And again, Karina's the star of the show for that. She will be right there alongside you, helping you and providing that support during your first year of teaching. And then another benefit, and this was listed in the my brain is gone in the program requirements, but I also listed as a benefit because that career transition guidance is just so valuable to have that person that you can talk to. Research has shown that, teachers that we're going to go through like the ebbs, the highs and the lows of being a teacher, but teachers who are talking to someone or getting that support, they still have the lows, but their lows don't go so low, I guess you could say. And so that's why I list the career transition guidance in both the requirements and the benefits because that it provides so much support. And I'm realizing another benefit that I don't have listed here is Texas support. So we have a staff member, her name's Christina King, and we call her the Texas Hustler. Her passion is helping teacher candidates pass the Texas exam. And so Christina will be working with you to help you prepare for your Texas exams. She will do one-on-one sessions to talk through like create a study plan, identify resources, find study buddies. Like she's there to support you through this Texas preparation process. In addition, the grant also pays for your exams. So like I mentioned, like the state just passed that law where you don't have to pay for the bilingual supplemental, but the good news is you're not going to have to pay for your content or your STR either because the Grant will pay for that. Well, let me clarify. It will pay for the first administration. If you have to retake, it won't pay for that. But our goal is that you don't have to retake, that Christina will work with you and that you'll be able to pass. So I need to remember to add the Texas support on here. There's so many benefits, I can't remember them all. Okay, so let's talk about, so those are the support services specifically through CESTR. But the college also has support services that you're going to have access to as well. So the first is the Student Success Center, which is exactly what it sounds like. The Student Success Center is to help our students in the college succeed. So they offer workshops for students, they offer mentoring support, they manage our scholarships in the college. They also do fun stuff like they'll just have like loterias and nachos type of thing. So they have the fun stuff, but they also have the stuff to help our students succeed. Also, you'll have the full support of the Academy for Teacher Excellence, which you're already going to have, because I think I forgot to mention, this is a program of the Academy for Teacher Excellence. So you'll have the full access to all of the services through ATE. We also have learning labs in the college. So these are computer labs. And so you can check out equipment from them. You can do poster printing, you can do laminating, and they also provide tech support. Plus, you will be a part of our Rowdy Residency program. So the Rowdy Residency program is that program for that enhanced certificate. And so with the Rowdy Residency, we've designed it to be like a medical residency. So like medical residents, they are enmeshed in the life of their hospitals and their programs. And so we've designed our Rowdy Residency to follow that model. So our teacher candidates, they are actively part of their campuses. They are attending faculty meetings. They're attending parent-teacher conferences. So you're probably thinking to yourself, I'm already doing this. Right, exactly. So you're a lot of what our teacher candidates who are part in the CESTR pathway, this is new to them, but for you, this will be something that's very familiar. In addition, we also have student organizations. Two I want to highlight is the Bilingual Education Student Organization, or BESO. That is our student organization for our bilingual teacher candidates. I realize that since you work, you're not going to have as much flexibility as our teacher candidates who are on campus. Um, but BESO, it's a great student organization to get involved with because they are very connected together, and they provide a lot of support to each other. So even if like you're not able to like attend all of their events, like I would say get connected with BESO just because you'll have access to that resource and that support, and become very connected with that group of students. We also have our Teach Rowdy, which is our future teacher club as well. It's just getting started. They're only in their second year. BESO's been around for a while. They were actually, this UT San Antonio chapter of BESO was the first chapter in the nation, and it is now a national organization. So it's been around for a while. Teach Rowdy is just getting started, but their student leadership is on fire and they're ready to get going. You also have access to scholarships. So you will be getting the $20,000 through the stipend for CESTR, but you'd be able to apply for other scholarships in the college. The college has over 20 scholarships that have been donated to the college with individuals saying, I want this money to go to this type of teacher candidate. And we do have scholarships that are specific for bilingual teacher candidates. Um, and then we also are a Charles Butt Scholarship campus. So this is the HEB Foundation. And our teacher candidates for this scholarship can get up to $8,000 to $10,000 a year for that scholarship. The paid residency, which is a little bit different because you'll be in your positions, but we do have a partnership in San Antonio ISD where they will hire some of our teacher candidates as paid residents. And you might have some at the campuses that you're at. So you might already know some of our Rowdy residents. And then also Ready to Work. So we are an approved site for the Ready to Work program which is through Alamo Workforce, and that provides up to $40,000 in tuition support. And we work with our students, like for example, we have an upcoming information session for our students who qualify for this to help them through the application process. So we help our students who qualify to be able to get this. Also, another great website that we like to point out is Teach San Antonio, or Teach SA is what it also goes by. This is a website that it's kind of a repository of teacher prep programs where, like, if you're looking for a teacher prep program, you can go here and research those different programs. Now, I hope that you just want to go to UTSA. That's my hope. But this is a site where you can go and explore different programs and what they offer. But I like to mention this site because one, they offer scholarships. So if you create an account with them and create an account with us, you then get entered in a drawing for a $1,000 scholarship. They also provide reimbursement for application fees. So this is one thing that CESTR doesn't do. We don't offer the cover the application fees, but if you get this account with Teach SA, you can get the reimbursement for that application fee. So that's one of the many benefits for Teach SA. All right. And then this is another program within ATE that if you are a male teacher of color or teacher candidate of color, you could also qualify for MEMIST, which it was another grant that ATE has received that focuses on helping men of color go into the classroom. And so they provide workshops, textbook lending, professional development. They offer mentoring, and they also have additional scholarships for their participants. So if that's something that you wanted to be a part of, you could also be a part of that in conjunction with CESTR and receive those benefits too. All right, before I get into the admission requirements, any questions? Okay, I'm just going to dive into the admission requirements and then the application process. So the admission requirements, you do have to be a paraprofessional or a teacher assistant in one of our partner districts. So I believe most of you are SAISD, which is one of our partner districts. And you do also have to be in a bilingual position because the state requirement, if you were getting a bilingual certificate, your field experiences and your clinical experiences have to be in a bilingual setting. So you would need to be in a bilingual position with a paraprofessional teacher aide in a bilingual classroom. Have not already completed a bachelor's degree, because again, this is a goal to help you complete the bachelor's degree. And then also, you need to have your first 60 hours completed because the structure of the program, first, the stipend only covers the last 60 hours, but then also we can only offer the last 60 hours during that alternate schedule. So we can't guarantee that the first 60 hours, because many of those courses are courses outside of our college, so we don't have control over them. We can't offer those during like the Saturday or the evenings. And so that's why you have to have the first 60 hours completed. So then that way we can just focus on those last 60. And then you also have to have a high level of proficiency in Spanish and English. And then a commitment to continue working in your partner school district. Because what we're trying to do is create this pipeline and help you strengthen the district that you're in. So those are the admission requirements. And so the application process there are multiple layers with the application process. And I will send you, so after this meeting, probably tomorrow, I will send all of you an email with a copy of this slide deck. But then also we have a checklist that goes through all of these steps. Just so we created that to help simplify the process. So the first is you do have to complete an application for UT San Antonio. And the link and the QR code are right here. And there's two applications. There's Common App, and I can't remember the other one. I have it listed on the next slide, Apply Texas. So there's two different application systems that you can choose from. Either one is fine. So you do have to complete your application. The application deadline for the spring semester is November 15th. Okay. So you complete your UT San Antonio application, and that does include transcripts. So you will have to submit official transcripts as well. And then you also have to complete an application for CESTR. And the link is for that application is right here as well. So you complete the UT San Antonio application, the CESTR application, and then Karina and I review the applications. And what you'll do is with that application, you'll also be submitting a professional letter of reference. So this letter of reference needs to come from a principal or the teacher that you work with or another teacher, aide, or paraprofessional at your campus, but it does need to be a professional letter of reference. It can't be a friend. Well, I mean, they might be your friend, like Karina's my friend, but she's also my coworker. It does need to be a professional letter of reference. So Karina and I will review the applications and then we'll schedule an interview. So it's a virtual interview and we would do them after hours because we don't want to take you away from your job. So you would do a virtual interview and it would be either like a combination of Karina and me or Karina and our GRA or me and the GRA, or all three of us. You might get lucky. But you would do an interview with the interview committee. And then what we would do is and then you'd have to demonstrate language proficiency, which we actually do in conjunction with our BESO club. They have a language proficiency assessment that they do. All right, I'm seeing a question. Oh, and Karina's answering it. See, this is why I love working with Karina. But let me, just since we are recording, let me read the question and we'll answer it so that way we also have it in the recording. Oh, what if we already completed it and just waiting for our reference? Oh, is that the CESTR application? Is that right? Both. Okay. Completed the application, the UT San Antonio application and the CESTR. That's great. So you only need, Karina responded, you only need to complete it once. So once you get your admission into UT San Antonio, what we will ask is if you could just forward your acceptance to us or just let us know, because then that way we can go into the system and be like, this is one of our CESTR applicants. So let us know once you're accepted into UT San Antonio. And then Karina and I are going to start reviewing the CESTR applications. And if there's any pieces missing, we'll be following up and saying, oh, we've noticed you're missing the reference. Please send us that type of thing. And then we'll start scheduling the interviews. Okay, so that's the application process. I do want to show you, so the UT San Antonio application. So like I said, there's two different applications you can use, either Apply Texas or Common App. The $75 application fee, but like I said, make sure you get that Teach SA, that Teach SA account created, so then that way you can get that application fee reimbursed. And then you do have to submit your official college transcripts from every institution you attended. And I'm going to show you, there is a page on the UT San Antonio website that does say it gives you steps to be able to complete submit the college transcript. So I'm going to show that to you because I know that's always an area. I also work with the program for graduate students. They're always confused by that process. So I'm going to show you a page that kind of gives you tips to help you complete that. And then again, the application deadlines. So the deadline to complete, to start in the spring semester is November 15th. So it is coming up. So don't delay too long to start that application. And keep in mind that you also have to have your transcripts in by then. So get those requests for the transcripts in. And then once you have completed the UT San Antonio application and the CESTR application, you've completed the interview and we're all excited. What we'll do is we will send you a CESTR acceptance letter. And we will ask you to return a signed copy of that to us. And then you'll also read a CESTR handbook. And then we will have a CESTR orientation. We don't have the date for the CESTR orientation yet, but it will most likely be right before the start of the semester. And with that orientation, Karina will be leading that, because by that point, I'll be turning you over to Karina. So I get you through the recruitment and the application process, and then I turn you over to Karina and you have great times with her. So she would be running the orientation, and it's just going to be going over the program requirements, when you do what, and everything to make sure you're ready to go for the semester. Now, once you're in the program, there is one more step because the state does require that to be admitted to the teacher preparation program, you do have to apply. We will build that into the CESTR process. So it's not going to be an added thing, but you will have to submit an application into the teacher preparation program. And that's because that is a state requirement. But you don't have to do that until you're with us and enrolled with us. All right. Oh, and let me switch my share so I can show you the page with the transcript information. Just 1 second. Okay. And I'm going to put this link in the chat as well. Okay. Okay, so this page, it's the application process. So submit an application, pay the fee, but then it gives you here the step 3. It tells you how they accept the transcripts. So they have the different systems, and then they have this link that takes you here, and it gives you like this instructions for how to request your transcripts. And like it even has questions like if you're unable to, because like we understand there actually have been some universities that have just closed down. So so it does give that request. If your first 60 hours were from UT San Antonio, you will not need to submit your transcripts because they will pull them. That's the only exception where you wouldn't have to be submitting your transcripts. All right, I have shared a lot of information. Any questions for us? Because that's the point we're at. We're at the question phase.
There was one in the chat, Emily,
Okay.
regarding what institutions we're accepting transcripts from. And I just replied accredited institutions.
Yes, yes, they do have to be accredited institutions. If you attended a foreign university, you will have to have your transcripts evaluated. And I have a form for that. I don't have it right off the top of, like, I'm not sure where it is in my files. Because it's kind of buried, I admit. But if you did attend a foreign university, we will have to have those evaluated, and I can send you the information on how to do that. Any other questions for us? Okay, will there be classes that we need to take prior to taking the classes mentioned, like prerequisites? So yes, you do have to have your first 60 hours, your core requirements completed before you can start with the teacher prep program. So we will review your transcripts, and if there's any courses where they're like, oh, we really need you to take this, we will let you know. So we have an advisor who we work with. She's specifically for the College of Education. Her office is just down the hall from mine. I send her many transcripts. So yeah, but basically if you have the first 60 hours or if you have the associate's degree, you're going to be good to go. But we will do a review just to make sure that everything's squared away. I have put my email in the chat, so if you do have questions, you can always email me too. I will also be, like I said, I'm going to email you the slide deck with I said one other thing. Oh, I can't remember what I said I was going to send. The slide deck, definitely.
The information for the review of foreign credentials.
Yes, that's it. Any other questions for us? If you do have questions later, please feel free to reach out. Karina and I are both here to help, but we really appreciate you coming on tonight and joining us. And if you want to like meet one-on-one, I can also do that too. We can schedule virtual sessions to kind of touch base if you want to do one-on-ones too. All right, well, thank you, everyone. I understand it's an evening. You've had a long day. We will let you go. We won't keep you longer than we need to. Have a great evening.
Bye.